job. The Tories, though, have proposed a crackdown on anti-white racism in hiring. But is Karen from HR listening? And speaking of blatant racism, ethnic minority teachers are being paid more as part of an anti-racism scheme. That's right, discriminating based on skin colour is anti-racist. Somebody make it make sense. I'm Leo Kearse, and tonight's comedians are Cressida Wetton and Nick Dixon. This is Headliners. But before we get stuck into tomorrow's news, let's go to tonight's headlines with Sam Francis.
Very good evening to you from the newsroom. The top story tonight at 11. MPs are being urgently recalled to Westminster tomorrow as the government races to pass emergency legislation aimed at saving British Steel's Scunthorpe plant from closure. Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer says the UK's economic security is on the line as ministers seek powers to take control of the site and keep steel production going. Opposition parties are piling on pressure, with the Lib Dems demanding a serious plan for the industry's future, and others, including Plaid Cymru, accusing Labour of inaction, particularly at Port Talbot. Conservative leader Kemi Badenoch has also described the crisis as entirely of the Labour government's making, while MPs in the government have been urged to confirm their attendance as that vote looms tomorrow. The Chancellor says that UK is resolved to secure the best deal it can with the US after a senior Trump advisor warned that tariff concessions are unlikely. Rachel Reeves insisted talks are ongoing, despite growing fears the UK could be struck with the former president's new 10% baseline tariff, described as the minimum rate that most countries will face unless they strike an extraordinary deal. She said the government is also doubling down on trade ties elsewhere, pointing to ongoing negotiations with India at an EU summit planned in May. Her comments come as global markets steady, though, following Trump's 90-day pause on some tariffs. But China's retaliatory 125% levy on US goods has fueled concerns that the trade war could deepen. Politics, and Michael Gove is heading for the House of Lords, topping a list of politicians named in Rishi Sunak's resignation honours. The former cabinet minister, who served under 4 prime ministers, joins a wave of people rewarded in Sunak's exit from the political stage. Among them, former Chancellor Jeremy Hunt and ex-Foreign Secretary James Cleverly. They have both received knighthoods, and peerages go to former Chief Whip Simon Hart and ex-Scottish Secretary Sir Alistair Jack, despite Jack's involvement in a row over betting on the election date, which he denies breached any rules. Teachers in England have overwhelmingly rejected the government's 2.8% pay offer and say they're ready to strike. In a preliminary vote by the National Education Union, nearly 94% said no to that deal, with over 83% backing industrial action to demand a higher, fully funded pay rise. Union leaders say years of below-inflation pay and growing workloads have created a recruitment and retention crisis in schools. And Sir Elton John has gone and done it again. The music legend has landed his 10th UK #1 album with Who Believes in Angels. It's a new collaboration with US country star Brandi Carlile. I've not got that right at all tonight. 52 years after his very first chart topper. Written and recorded in just 3 weeks, would you believe, the album had a rocky start. He was seen throwing headphones, ripping up lyrics and had a few diva moments, all captured in a behind-the-scenes documentary. But Elton says the result, well, it's still the finest album he's done in a long time. Take a listen. Well, the album's success puts Elton alongside chart giants like ABBA, Queen and Michael Jackson. Not bad for someone who once said he was ready to retire. Clearly, he's still standing. Those are the latest headlines. Plenty more still to come right here on GB News with Headliners.
For the very latest GB News direct to your smartphone, sign up to News Alerts by scanning the QR code or go to gbnews.com/alerts.
Hello and welcome to Headliners, where we give you the best of tomorrow's newspapers with the best of today's comedians. First things first, let's see what the papers have in store for us on today's show. The Daily Mail leads with sleeping on the job. That's an NHS boss who was spotted sleeping on the train in first class. The Independent has one safe house, so many reasons to say thank you. The Daily Mirror has Lord Gove, really? The Daily Express leads with absurd police arrest, mother who took away kids' iPads. The Telegraph has Harry, how they tried to trap me in the firm just when he thought he was out. The Times has Trump aid, we can split up Ukraine like Berlin. Cressida and Nick, how are you?
I'm very well, thanks for asking, Leo.
Good.
Nick?
Is that back the how are you bit now?
I've decided to make this more convivial. Instead of a just blunt dive headfirst into the news.
You're looking very well. You look tanned. Have you been outside?
Yeah, I've been outside in the sunshine.
Lovely.
Nice to have.
And I like your hair. It's back.
Thank you. I can't deal with all these compliments. I'm British. Let's have a look at the front page of The Guardian, Cressida.
Parliament recalled in bid to save British steel. So this is a big day because Parliament have got to come in on a Saturday.
They've got to do some work.
They haven't done it since, I think, is it 1982 or some ridiculous... I mean, I know they had to pop back in 2021, but, yeah, so then no one's happy about this. They're not impressed.
And this crisis isn't the grooming gangs or anything. This is just about a steelworks.
Just about a steelworks, yeah. The last one we've got, Leo.
Yeah.
And we might need some steel because there's some trouble out there.
I'm sure if we go to war with China, they'll happily sell us all the steel we need to build tanks.
Well, some people don't feel that way, including the government, and they are desperate to keep this place open. You can't just close it and reopen it, I understand. You've got to keep it going. It's like a very elaborate Wallace and Gromit contraption. You've got to keep it pumping all the time. It's probably the wrong word.
Wrong word for 5 a.m. Yeah, you were about to ask me something, Leo. Do you want me to just...
Well, I was going to say, like, because Cresta said, you know, you can't just like let them drop the keys on the doormat and then take it over again. We've got to buy it off them. I assume this is going to involve Keir Starmer giving loads of taxpayers' money to another country.
Yeah, it's a good point actually. When China have been involved, the whole place will be bugged to its eyeballs. You know what I mean? And just be very careful what you say for the next 18 years. They're getting all our intelligence via this one factory. Yeah, I mean. Yeah, this is a very... It seems like a policy everyone agrees with. Even Reform UK, the hardcore Thatcherites were saying they would nationalise it. Yeah. So it's something that inevitably had to happen. Though my only concern is now it gives Business Secretary Jonathan Reynolds the power to direct the company, and I'm worried if someone from Labour's directing it, it will immediately fall apart anyway. That's my concern.
Yeah, as if it needs...
As an objective comment.
As if a business in Britain is going to need any help doing that. I mean, it seems ridiculous that such a strategically important resource as our last ever steelworks in the UK, under Boris Johnson, was sold to China, who aren't even an ally. I'd understand France.
Maybe. Are you saying Boris Johnson was short-sighted? Because I, for one, refuse to believe that.
I mean, everything he did, open borders, selling strategic assets to geopolitical enemies, it's almost as if Boris wasn't right-wing at all. He seemed to rule like the Green Party would. And another thing is we're going to need cheap energy if we're going to make a steelworks viable, and energy in Britain, industrial energy is among the highest cost in the world. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's
what happened to that Cumbria coal mine? I mean, they didn't want to open that. That would have made, right? Would have used it. That was the coal was to make steel, so we didn't have to import it from China, wasn't it?
Yeah, so that would have been perfect to, you know, if we could have kept our strategic coal mine open and our strategic steelworks. It would have been like the glory days of the Victorian Industrial Revolution.
People in the north working in factories. That's what built this country.
Yeah.
And even though they abused us at times, my people made this country great.
There's also a story here about the weight loss jab effect lasting for 3 years, which is quite good.
Have we had it for 3 years?
I
feel like it's been around for about 8 months. I don't know. I don't know.
Maybe they've tested it on, I don't know, blue bottles or
well, it's very mixed, isn't it, the results? Some people get that incredible Ozempic face. Other people have lost their lives to it, according to whatever you read. It's all anecdotal.
Yeah.
I don't know.
OK, well, let's move on and have a look at the Daily Telegraph, Nick.
Happy to, yeah. Well, they've got a couple of big stories, but this one really got me worked up. It's Police Chief, I want to discriminate against white candidates. And we've been talking about this story a lot with West Yorkshire Police, but it seems that Chief Constable John Robbins said that he backs this and that legislation should actually change to allow so-called positive discrimination, a.k.a. racism, against white people. He even, in 2023, compared it to Catholics in Northern Ireland getting a boost in the police. So I don't think it's the same at all, but he said, OK, we have to do these practices. I mean, I find that absolutely shocking, incredibly weird and disturbing.
Yeah, I mean, for a police chief to say that he wants to discriminate against people based on the colour of their skin, I mean, he's about 30 years too late for that, I'd say. Also, he's got the discrimination wrong.
It's absolute madness. And there's a related story where the Conservatives want to amend Rayner's employment rights bill to actually stop this, which shows you how far the Tories have fallen. They're trying to amend rubbish Labour bills when they could have done something for the 14 years they're in. Yeah. But, you know, the one thing about that is it would at least expose Labour, because they'd have to say either we are in favour of discriminating against white people, or they'd have to change it. So either way, that would be a political win.
Because they've kept it so well hidden until now.
Right, it's not hidden at all. It's so obvious with the way they treat Lucy Connolly et al. But to make it official like this, I think would, even the centrist dad voter might go, hang on, I'm not sure about that, right?
Maybe, yeah. I mean, I think it's really funny that the Tories are trying to push back with a complaints system. Just scrap it would be my preference, but it's like, no, we're going to out-admin your admin. It's going to be death by admin.
So they're adding on more admin to the admin.
Which would be fine. I don't mind them dying of death by admin, except we're paying for it, so it winds me up a bit.
Yeah, no, this should absolutely be scrapped. I mean, and surely this is going to, any sort of anti-white, any sort of racist, whether it's anti-white, anti-black, whatever it is, any sort of racist system is going to cause resentment. And, you know, I think right now with social cohesion fraying at the seams, the last thing you want to do is feed the resentment of the native British majority. That's just that's a recipe for conflict.
You would think, wouldn't you? And yet, as Cressida says, you'll be allowed to complain and you'll be able to see a response. Whereas currently, you're just allowed to discriminate against white people. Not allowed to have a reason. Just kind of like slaves or something. Just nothing.
Well, I guess the reason is that diversity is a strength, but that's a kind of, you know, religious belief. There's not, you know, it's not proven like, you know, Newtonian physics or something like that.
Well, I would argue that there are types of diversity that are our strength. You know, diversity of thought, ability, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. That's not what they're referring to.
That's definitely not what they mean, is it?
Yeah. Well, a spokesman for West Yorkshire Police said, and I'm not going to do the accent, in West Yorkshire Police, we are committed to improving equality, diversity and inclusion within the organisation and strive to be more representative of the communities we serve. Our diversity, equality and inclusion team supports and consults with those with different protected characteristics such as sex, disability, sexual orientation and race to ensure their views can influence and improve the service the force delivers. It's strange to hear police forces speaking like gender professors. It's a lot of, I mean, it's, you know, fair play to them. That's their right to reply. And let's move on with more criminal justice system shenanigans. We've got the Telegraph now with a mother denied access to her children after being convicted of apparently the worst crime in Britain, getting angry that little girls are stabbed to death, Cressida.
Mother jailed over Southport Post has bid to see daughter. So this is Lucy Connolly. Yes, she was convicted. She apparently broke the law. She was convicted for inciting racial hatred in a tweet that was up for 3.5 hours. But anyway, she was convicted. So she's applied to have this release on temporary licence, where people are given like a break from prison. They can go home and see their loved ones. And this is supposed to minimise the impact on families. You can see all the benefits that you would have. She's got a 12-year-old daughter who apparently the behaviour's going downhill a bit, funnily enough, with an ill dad and a mum in prison. Yeah. So she's applied for this temporary leave and it's been rejected again. And, of course, you know, the question is, well, why has it been rejected? And we don't really know.
Yeah, no,
because arguably she's a model candidate who ought to.
Well, yeah, I mean, removing a mother from her young child at such a vulnerable age as well, just progressing into puberty, is, you know, that you'd think she must have murdered somebody. But no, they say apparently offenders convicted of racially aggravated offences are excluded from home detention curfew unless there's exceptional circumstances. But the thing is, I mean, obviously racism is now the #1 crime that you can commit in the UK. She was convicted for inciting racial hatred in a tweet that didn't mention race.
Yeah, well, of course, the mistake was pleading guilty. So, like you say, technically, then, yes, they can do all this. The mistake, in my opinion, was that. And in the opinion of Bob Blackman, chairman of the 1922 committee. So, yeah, it's disgusting. I mean, this is Saudi Arabia, Russia-level stuff. This is a foreign spy or war criminal. This is a well-liked mother who is a law-abiding person, basically, except for this one incident. Well, definitely except for this one incident. And you go, This should be enough to remove Labour on its own. It won't be, but in a normal world, it would be. I mean, how does this help? You were talking a minute ago about civil unrest and things like that. Imagine the fury this creates. I mean, I know how angry I am about it, and people like Alison Pearson. So imagine how angry people are about this. And what does it do? As Cressida says, it damages the child whose behaviour is now totally out of character. It damages her family, her husband's quite seriously ill. It's like, what good does this create? It's disgusting.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I've got to, obviously reiterate that she did break the law, just like Alexei Navalny broke the law and Nelson Mandela broke the law. But I guess, the government here are... some have said that they're sending a message to anyone else who might say something that goes against, the government's priorities around social cohesion and all the rest of it, that somebody that might, notice things or get angry or be upset that perhaps little girls are being stabbed to death. So they're sending a message saying, if you talk about this, then we can come to you, we can remove you from your family, you won't be able to protect your family, and we can put you in jail. Yeah, and that, of course, is the only rationale, that it is to try and stop dissent by doing that. But of course, it creates opposite because it creates so much resentment. Yeah, and particularly when we see people from the other side, like Ricky Jones, for example, the Labour councillor, who screamed to a crowd of socialists that they need to slash the throats of far-right thugs, which, obviously that's basically far-right doesn't mean anything anymore. And he was bailed. And why does he get bail? And somebody who tweeted and then deleted something that, hasn't been proven to have any real-world impact, goes to jail and for 31 months doesn't get to see her daughter. Well, I'm assuming that's a rhetorical question, isn't it? If you're either a friend of the regime or you're not. OK. Well, coming up, we're going to check out what's on the cover of the Daily Mail, and we've got lots more stories, so we'll see you in a second.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Dubes & Co. Weekdays from 6 p.m.
I spoke with one of the most inspirational ladies I've ever spoken to today. Her story will stop you in her tracks. Ladies and gents, this is Tina Nash.
Basically, I met Shane Jenkin back in 2009. Basically, he was very, very sweet to me for the first, I'd say 4 or 5 months. And I really fell for him. I've never really been in love properly until I met him. I was laying across the bed with my legs hanging off the bed, and I was wrapped up in my duvet. And next thing you know, I had hands through the duvet, start strangling me.
What had he done to you?
He'd come in, he'd beaten me unconscious. My head was twice the size of what it should have been, broken nose, broken jaw. And basically, when I was unconscious, he gouged my eyes out with his bare thumbs. I didn't know that I was blind until... basically, on that third time that I come back round after he'd knocked me unconscious, when I come back round, I knew that he was trying to kill me then. That is when I knew what he was doing.
Have your eyes recovered? Can you see anything anymore or not?
I haven't got any eyes. These are glass eyes. They're not even real. They're glass.
He was sent to prison, wasn't he? He got a life sentence.
Yeah. With a minimum, of 6 years minimum term.
And that was in 2012.
It was, and the judge said that he had to prove himself fit on a landing for 6 years with no medical intervention before he is even accepted to be allowed out on the streets. This has not happened.
Goodness me. And am I right now in thinking, Tina, that he's essentially in what most people would know to be an open prison?
Yeah, he's in Cat D.
GB News, the People's Channel.
I'm Christopher Hope. From pop stars to politicians, I'll interview anybody in a pub who's got a political opinion. Join me every Friday on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube or gbnews.com, or wherever you get your podcasts. This is GB News, the People's Channel.
We're proud to be GB News, the People's Channel, and as you know, we always love to hear your views. Now, there's a new way of getting in touch with us at gbnews.com/your-say. By commenting, you can be part of a live conversation and join our GB News community. You can even talk to me, Bev Turner, or any of the members of the GB News family.
Welcome back to Headliners, and let's go to gbnews.com/your-say for some of your comments. Mary Barnes says, new employment laws are racist against white people. Surely whoever put these laws into practice is guilty of racism and must go to prison. You'd think so, wouldn't you? But apparently not. Apparently it's the acceptable type of racism. Neil Yorkshire Lad says, Leo's jacket and shirt are terrible, but he speaks sense and I like him. Well, thank you very much, Neil Yorkshire Lad. OK, let's move on.
I think the opposite.
Nick likes my dress sense. Let's move on and look at the front cover of the Express, Cressida.
Absurd. Police arrest mother who took away kids' iPads. So police have been called absurd because they arrested this woman, Vanessa Brown, because her children's iPads had gone missing. A mysterious man in his 40s, we don't hear much about him, somehow raised the alarm that these iPads had gone missing. They've got a tracker device on them, so they were followed, the police followed these iPads to this lady's mother's house where they arrested her. And this all took like a whole day to get to the bottom of. All she'd done was taken away her kids' iPads, i.e. parenting, not theft. So this sounds on the surface like another one of these police overreach stories, but we haven't got a lot of information yet.
Well, the weird thing is that, you know, you'd think when she explained the situation, the police would be like, oh, fair enough then, these are your kids' iPads. But no, they banged her up in cells for, I think, 7 hours.
And when she was released on bail, she wasn't allowed to speak to people involved in the case, which were her kids.
Well, she might try and turn them against the prosecutor. You know, set up an alibi.
Yeah, perhaps it's an innocent mistake, but it sounds in keeping with what happens in this country these days with our communist elite, whereby, and the police are part of that, they think that the children belong to the state, not the family. We see so many instances of that. So it wouldn't surprise me. It's also just a narco-tyranny, isn't it? Again, I know it's my catchphrase, bullying middle-aged women, which is a lot easier than solving actual crimes. You know,
my fun.
True. My phone was swiped. No, nothing from the police. They say, you know, contact this number, send an email, nothing happened.
Well, you don't have a phone, so you can...
Well, I don't now.
Well, no, but you're right, the resources involved in this. It was like 2 police vehicles went to her, one went to the school. I mean, it's a lot of resource, isn't it, to go into 2 iPads?
And then people at the bottom say, I know people are making reports of thefts, of assaults and violent crimes in and around our neighbourhood, and they're not getting a response for days. So the police are focusing on, you know, I think they go for the middle-aged women because they know they're not going to roll about in the gutter and get covered in dog poo. But, I mean, in fairness, this was reported as a theft. So they did at least respond to one theft.
And it's virtually cliche now, isn't it? You should just call up and say, please, a well-respected journalist has had an opinion on Twitter. If you want to get someone, if your house is on, if you're just being robbed.
Yeah, you've got to phone up and be like, Alison Pearson, she did some really bad tweets. Also, she nicked my TV. And then they're going to come around and actually dust for prints.
True, but only for her tweets.
Yeah, but this is... I do feel like our police are now a Soviet-style thought police who are just, you know, policing this sort of the law-abiding middle class and letting criminals run rampant.
You've noticed that, yeah. It's the very definition of a narco-tyranny. That's what it is. Yeah. It's a perfect term for it.
I'm glad I'm in the criminal section that are running rampant. Let's move on and have a look at the Daily Mail, Nick.
Yeah, fine by me. It's sleeping on the job. So this was Sir Jim Mackey, and they've got some, I'd say, rather tawdry pictures of him asleep on the train, because the whole thing is he said he was going to tackle inefficiency and pick up the pace of change in the NHS. And the Daily Mail finds this terrifically ironic because then he's actually asleep on the train. However, if we want to be fair, and I think I don't love this that they're taking pictures of it. It's not like it's someone like Sadiq Khan where I'd accept it. It's, you know, just someone really awful. It's this guy. I don't know if he deserves this. He's got a long commute. 1,200 miles a week between London and Northumberland.
But surely that's the point. Do we want the person running the NHS to not just move to London?
That's a great point, because he's there for it to improve efficiency.
Yeah,
and this is the least
they've hired the wrong guy, isn't that the implication?
I accept that part. Yeah, I accept that part. They've gone for the irony there, definitely. And there's also a sort of metaphor for the NHS in general, isn't it? Just asleep on a train. The other thing was he was...
first class.
Yeah, exactly. He was displaying important documents. That's not ideal, openly displaying. You know, I don't know how much worse they can be than the actual statistics of the NHS that are out there. Did it say the real waiting time is actually 8 years instead of 7? But, you know, Not ideal.
Harold Shipman had a brother. Yeah, they do say it's the Mail's exclusive investigation revealed that he left his laptop unlocked when he went to the toilet. But it does sort of, as far as exclusive investigations go, this might have just been some guy on the train who was next to him and took some photos.
Well, and he failed to use the open laptop. I mean, what a time to send an amusing tweet.
yeah, and get him arrested for 31 months. But also, I mean, middle-aged men, being, you know, a middle-aged man myself, I feel like taking a photo of us when we're having a nap, that is like upskirting for middle-aged men.
I know, especially on a sunny day. Come on, be realistic.
And the train's wobbling a bit. It's very soporific. Well, we've got the Times now, and police have a target to respond to antisocial behaviour in 3 days. Let's hope hooligans are happy to hang around that long, Cressida.
OK, police told to respond to antisocial behaviour calls in 72 hours. This is Yvette Cooper telling them 72 hours is enough, you've got to get on it, people expect a response. Obviously, the problem with this is that the police are quite busy. I think they would argue they're already doing their best. So this is a resourcing issue. She does make a good point, though. She's talking about antisocial behaviour being the precursor for serious violence. Well, I do agree with that. I think if people are being naughty at 14 with some spray cans of paint, yeah, get on it, sort it out early doors. But I don't know how they're really going to do it.
Do you think, I mean, if they maybe got rid of some of the silly laws that are seeing people locked up for tweets, then they'd have more time to deal with actual crime and antisocial behaviour?
That's clearly true. The other thing is they're going to ban diverting officers to cover protests. Well, who's going to cover the many, many protests we have now that we've let the whole world into our country and that they care more about foreign conflicts than our nation? So I wonder. And it's not that many people. I mean, it's always good to talk about visible patrols and bobbies on the beat, but it's not that many. I mean, there'll be a named police officer for every 8,000 people. The Tories are saying that it's unambitious compared to their adding 20,000 police officers. So I'm not sure. It's a perfectly reasonable idea, but I'm not sure it's going to do that much.
It's not like there's any barriers to entry to the police at the moment, so recruitment should be...
There is that. Unless you're white, of course, then you're in the bronze tier. Though a lot of them are going to be unpaid volunteers. That worries me a little bit as well.
Yeah.
Also, the mentality of someone who just really wants to tell people what to do, so they'll do it for free. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Well, we've got the Daily Mail now, and Meghan and Harry donated to a controversial Muslim group. I guess that's one way of amplifying marginalised voices, Nick.
That's true, and that's what they're all about. So Harry and Meghan's, is it Archewell, handed almost 25,000 to Muslim group whose boss branded Israel apartheid state. So, to be fair, the charity has now ceased donating. It was this Milwaukee Muslim Women's Coalition, which is an obvious thing to exist. And some of the founders, he repeated a slogan from the river to the sea, which I hear is frowned upon, and things of this nature and worse than that. So, yeah, but to be fair, they've now retreated from it. This, of course, is what happens when you sort of blindly, you take a blindly partisan view of a very complex conflict. You know, you're like, oh, I'm a lefty, I'll just support anything vaguely pro-Palestine. Then you go, oh, whoops.
Yeah, and of course, everything in the unicause, you know, they'll be surrounded by people who agree with all this. So they won't realise that for some people, describing Israel as an apartheid state or calling for its the extermination of the people inside it, you know, is offensive.
Yeah, they've had to have it pointed out to them. I mean, I think Nick's being a bit unfair, implying that they're taking a simplified view, because the mission of this charity is show up, do good.
Yes. Yeah, I know. And that's never gone wrong in history.
They are good at showing up, aren't they? They do a lot of that. Just got to work on the second part.
If you've got some canopies and some bottles of champagne.
That was Stalin's motto, show up, do good.
Well, coming up, we will show up and do good. We're going to look at the Times. This is Headliners only on GB News.
Westminster, the ultimate clique.
And you're fighting like rats in a sack.
But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask.
OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician.
Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits.
You had the power then.
Yeah,
and now you've lost it.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless.
But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show.
Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
If you want your news to be straight talking...
This is a nightmare for the Conservatives again.
Down to earth.
It's not just Nottingham where this is happening, is it?
And most importantly, honest.
Hard-working, middle-class taxpayers, they'll get the book thrown at them.
Then catch me, Martin Daubney, Monday to Friday, 3 till 6 p.m. on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
No,
isn't it?
because
the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point.
Nothing's held back,
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
and we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here we do things differently. It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it? It's explosive. I mean, this is very good. It's lively.
850. Your government sat there, Sean, and it did nothing.
It's controversial. And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born. It's everything you need to kickstart your evening. Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it. That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
The royal family is an enduring symbol of tradition, unity and pride for Britain. At GB News, we celebrate what makes this country great. In our new royal newsletter series, you can join me, Cameron Walker, for Inside the Palace, an exclusive look every week that takes you beyond the gates and brings you the very latest from those at the heart of the monarchy. Never miss a royal moment again. Sign up now. Go to gbnews.com/royal newsletter and get the latest straight to your inbox.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Headliners, and let's go to gbnews.com/yoursay for some of your comments. Hugh Jarrett says, if the government is cracking down on antisocial behaviour, does that mean Lewis is leaving Headliners? Don't worry, I think he's part of the furniture now. And Ralph Mouth says, maybe the best Headliners team tonight. Oh, isn't that nice?
Nice.
Very nice. Thank you very much. And let's have a look at the front cover of the Times, Cressida.
We can meet Britain's new power couple. I don't know who they are. There's a story
It's not that powerful, is it? If you don't know who
they
they
could
are.
have put their names up. I don't know. I'm not good at celebrities.
It looks like a very young Gordon Ramsay.
It does. It really does. Yeah, what's he doing? He looks fantastic. Anyway, they've also got this story, Trump aid. We can split up Ukraine like Berlin. I mean, Americans are supposed to be insensitive, aren't they, about...
he's been a bit insensitive here, I'd say.
He is being a little bit... I mean, it's so outrageous. So this is his envoy to the Ukraine. He said the country could be partitioned. And then he says, almost like Berlin after World War II. Like, oh, yeah, I get the idea.
Yeah,
like
almost like.
Idea.
Yeah, except this time round, people in the West will be climbing the wall to get out into the Soviet Union.
But I think, I mean, it's pragmatic, isn't it? They're thinking it through.
It's calling it a reassurance force, which is a weird new phrase. It does feel like they're riffing a bit, doesn't it? It's like, hey, it'd be almost like World War II. And everyone's got a different view. Does Trump agree? You know, one day we're not going to put troops there, and the next day we are. It's slightly worrying. A bit like the tariffs. Is there a plan, you start to wonder?
I do kind of get the impression that Trump just doesn't care about anything outside of America. And he just wants to, like, look after America. He doesn't want to be, you know, emperor of the world. So he's just, you know, Ukraine, do what you want with it. I just don't want any fuss.
Right. I'm not even sure Keith Kellogg's a real person. It doesn't sound that real. Let that Kellogg guy deal with it. Sir, he doesn't exist.
OK, moving on, we've got the Daily Mirror, Nick. What have they got?
Mirror has Lord Gove. Really? And so they're saying Tory clown Michael Gove, a bit harsh, was made appear in Rishi Sunak's resignation honours list. And so the Mirror, of course, being very lefty, their idea this is all a farce. I mean, I don't know if it's true. I mean, my friend Toby Young managed to get into the House of Lords. Just had to...
I'm absolutely thrilled about that.
Are you?
He is exactly the type of person I want.
Oh, really? Because you don't know how insufferable it'll make him. But, yeah, I mean...
That's why she wants him in there.
Yeah, all you have to do was say Kemi was great for a long, long time. But I'm sure it was genuine. Anyway, so now Gove's in there. I mean, he did do a good job on education. It says it came despite his disastrous time as Education Secretary. Well, that's the left-wing view. I thought it was his best thing.
But yeah, and Britain is one of the few successes we've got in Britain is our education system, and I thought they could have picked something else to criticise him for. And
what, like his dancing?
Yeah,
I mean, they have gone with that picture, the one that makes Elon Musk look cool and suave.
I quite like the fact that he went to a nightclub in Aberdeen and let his hair down, or would have let his hair down if he had any left. But I mean, this is. I mean, he's a long-standing member of Parliament. He's clearly, given a great service to the public, or a long service to the public. If you can't be great, at least be long. So yeah, he deserves a knighthood. Just seems like sour grapes from the Mirror. Anyway, moving on, we've got The Guardian now, talking of sour grapes, with asylum seekers moved out of hotels, hopefully into Gary Lineker's house, Nick.
Yeah, hundreds of asylum seekers to be removed from hotels in England. And you think, yeah, they're being deported, but it's not clear where they're going to go. This is in Datchet, Berkshire, Manor Hotel. And locals are saying it's become a hellhole because, of course, it's a nice English village. And then, you just put a load of people from a totally different place in it. I mean, I hate to be called all the names that people call me anyway, but, I mean, there are tribes where you're not allowed to put a can of Coke down or they can shoot you with arrows. All I'm saying is, should you really be able to be dropped into Datchet in Berkshire? I'm just asking. Well, The Guardian has an impossible quandary here, sorry, but they say there's a Hindu shop worker and that the asylum seekers, so-called, are being racist against him. So just my Guardians, their minds blown and they're going, oh, maybe this is bad now.
So now we're getting the internecine conflicts of overseas being brought into little English villages. I mean, I've got to push back on you saying, this could be bad in some way, because obviously diversity is our greatest strength, and airdropping several hundred people from medieval, misogynistic, violent tribal cultures is the greatest thing that can happen to a small English village.
Forcibly unemployed as well, which I think adds a certain atmosphere to the area, doesn't it, when lots of young men can't be employed and don't have anything to do all day.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost as if a good solution for this would be to set up economic zones in the source countries, so we can employ people there. They can have the employment that they want, and we can, ensure security. I think we did it before. It was called the British Empire, and it worked out very well. Everybody was happy. But yeah, this does raise some other issues as well, because I think in Wethersfield they've had hundreds. I think the number of asylum seekers now outnumbers the number of local residents, and people can't sell their houses, which just doesn't make sense to me, because Deborah Meaden, Carol Vorderman, they all say this is their greatest strength. So why aren't they buying the houses?
That is weird. And there's a guy here saying he's had to try and sell his house because he's leaving. That's weird, isn't it? Yeah. Why does he want to live somewhere really strong?
Yeah. Yeah, it's so strong now. Well, let's move on. We've got the Daily Mail now, and you can't teach an old dog new tricks, but you can teach a new teacher that old dogs shouldn't be allowed to be in the countryside, Cressida.
Ethnic minority student teachers offered £5,000 to train by anti-racist scheme that saw calls for dogs to be banned from the countryside. So this is the same group of people who they want Wales to be anti-racist, not just not racist. They want it to be anti-racist,
and
which is a pseudonym for.
By anti-racist, they mean very racist.
That's exactly right. And they're going to achieve it by 2050. We're going to pay for it. So you get an extra £5,000. Well, you get £15,000 extra if you're teaching something that is needed and nobody wants to teach it. So biology, chemistry, physics, IT. It goes basically, as long as you're not teaching English or drama, you get a lot more money.
Right.
But then you get an extra £5,000 if you are the correct ethnicity, if you're from a minority background. And then you can even get another £5,000 if you're prepared to teach in Welsh, which you'd think those things might cancel each other out.
So they're looking for Welsh-speaking Somalians. I mean, this is quite... These people, to be fair, a Welsh-speaking Somalian probably deserves 10 grand. I mean, this is quite a niche plea.
I think I may have misunderstood the details, but yeah, that's what it sounds like.
But this is openly racist activity. I mean, this is against any other race. This would be criminal, and the people suggesting this would be put in jail.
Yes, to the layman it is. I know. You just think anti-racist. They had one job, and they got it so wrong. It's so strange how communism has gripped Wales more than anywhere in Britain. We saw this during COVID as well. They were the most enthusiastic, or Mark Drakeford was. It's so weird and disturbing, especially the dog thing. It's like if you're anti-dogs in the countryside, you're just in the wrong country. I mean, and it's always this negation. We saw with the Latin ceremony ceremonies. You're not going to be able to use binary gendered language in Latin ceremonies at Oxford and Cambridge, or whichever one it was. Things like this. It's always a negation of our tradition because it might offend someone somewhere.
Yeah.
But that is our tradition. There are other countries available.
Yeah, and what about...
Some countries, they don't like dogs, I've heard.
Yeah.
Things happen to them. They go missing. They end up places...
People who don't like dogs might be happier in those countries that don't like dogs. Well, we've got the Telegraph now with Trump's tariff crash turning a spotlight on cushy public sector pensions, Nick.
Yeah, so Trump has exposed Britain's dirty little pension secret. It's good that he's done something good lately. I mean, the tariffs thing didn't go so well. But basically, the point of the article is that there's these gold-plated public sector pensions who get paid no matter what. And anyone who's run their own business knows this kind of thing because they're furious about it. They don't have to take the same risks, yet they get these pensions, and there's a suggestion they should move to a funded rather than unfunded model, because this idea that they're funded, they're unfunded essentially because the contribution doesn't mean anything because the taxpayer picks it up, so they make this contribution, but that's meaningless. So you got to move. They've tried this funded model, it's Canada and Sweden, and we're not doing it here. And you know, there are a few exceptions. There is a guy called Nigel who is a retired police officer. He said he was on a ridiculous pension, but he's paying quite a lot of it into my Substack. He's my biggest subscriber. That's an example of the system working as intended. But for the most part, it doesn't work so well.
Yeah, and we've got this huge overhang of pensions that's, you know, basically pension. The idea of a pension is we're telling people working now, oh, in 20 years' time, oh, we're gonna pay your pension, and then in 20 years' time, you know, how do we know we're going to be able to pay that pension? It's not funded by investments made now. It's funded by taxes on people then.
Some people who haven't been born yet.
Yeah.
It makes me furious. Turkeys don't vote for Christmas, as my dad used to say. And it says here that there's been a report by think tank New Financial last year suggesting that switching to a funded model would save taxpayers hundreds of billions of pounds. But bizarrely, this has actually been absent from political debate and scrutiny. I can't think why.
It's a big vote loser, I suppose.
And I don't think the turkeys aforementioned want to talk about this. It's so outrageous. I'm glad we're covering it because we should all be frustrated by this.
Yeah, I mean, I've just always assumed that I'm not going to get a pension. We're going to be living in some sort of Mad Max dystopia. It turns out I'm pretty much correct. So what I've been doing is collecting Tesco carrier bags. Filled the loft. I reckon I've got about 200 quid's worth.
Yeah, you're more looking at the dried food and weapons angle.
Yeah.
I've always assumed I won't get to retire because we're in this ridiculous business. You don't really retire, do you?
No.
You just suddenly die.
You die.
Yeah.
Yeah. Unexpected.
And we can't go on strike.
Yeah.
We keep having strikes. And
we can, but people will just laugh very loudly.
Well, let's squeeze this last story in this section. We've got the Telegraph taking us to Appleby, which is famous for its gypsy fair, where some people are literally looking a gift horse in the mouth, Crescent.
Horse statue to celebrate Appleby's gypsy fair offensive to locals. So the council has rejected this, what would have been a lovely piece of public art, a great big horse, which is representing this old gypsy fair thing that happens once a year.
Has it got anything inside it? That's one thing I know to check for when somebody gives you a big statue of a horse.
Well, I was thinking, what the implication here is that the locals aren't that keen on the travelling population, and the words like it's almost talking about trauma and people. I mean, we know what they're getting at. So I thought maybe what they should do is, instead of making the horse out of galvanised steel, they could make it out of copper. If it's still there in 6 months, then there was no issue. It's a sort of like a witch trial.
Oh, that's going to present a dilemma for...
I'm just proud because this is Cumbria, of course, where I'm from. And in Cumbria, no one's allowed to build anything, especially in the lakes. We haven't had a new house since 1700. Oh, really? It's so amazing. Yeah, but the ultimate NIMBYs.
Aren't you ready for a big new building?
Big new horse. Oh, you mean the mosque thing?
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't speak about that without getting too much trouble. Let's move on.
OK. Well, coming up, we will take a look at the Daily Star and at some more stories. This is Headliners, only on GB News.
You're looking happy.
Well, the forecast looks good.
So you've sorted the travel insurance then?
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
If you've got holiday plans for Iberia, unfortunately there are spells of rain around at the moment, and that will continue through the weekend. For Greece, however, it's mostly bright but with a keen breeze, and Italy's faring well on Saturday with plenty of sunny skies. A few showers dotted about through the Mediterranean, and then for Spain, as well as Portugal, Madeira and the Canary Islands, spells of rain and heavy showers are expected to continue through the weekend, staying sunny in Santorini.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello, very good evening to you. Here's your latest GB News weather update coming to you from the Met Office. Whilst we are going to have a largely clear night tonight, we are going to see a bit of a change in our weather as we go through this weekend. That's because the high pressure that's been firmly in control of our weather through recent days does start to drift away towards the east, but for the time being it is still mostly dry. The exception being across the far north of Scotland, where there's a front lingering here bringing some cloud and a bit of rain. Elsewhere, lots of clear skies, and under these clear skies a few pockets of mist and fog, particularly towards the east, and again we could see temperatures dropping a fair bit. Perhaps not quite as chilly as some recent nights, but nonetheless a touch of frost is possible in some prone rural spots. So a fresh start to tomorrow morning, but also a bright sunny one for many places, the exception being again the far north of Scotland, Shetland, seeing some rain first thing. Otherwise though, across much of Scotland, Northern Ireland, a good deal of bright sunny weather to start the day, and it's a similar story across much of England and Wales. However, towards the southwest, here we're quite quickly going to see some cloud and some showery rain feeding its way in. Now these showers are going to push their way northeastwards as we go through the day, initially across just really Devon and Cornwall and the southwestern tip of Wales, but they are going to become more widespread as we head into the afternoon. Some of these showers as well could be a little bit on the heavy side, particularly across parts of Wales and the southwest. Elsewhere, further north and east, a lot of dry and sunny weather, and temperatures, well, still in the low 20s, so feeling pretty warm indeed, but fresher from the west. More showery rain then pushes across most parts as we go overnight into Sunday. A lot of that then clears away towards the east through Sunday itself, but there will be a scattering of showers following in behind, albeit with some bright or sunny spells in between. More changeable weather to come as we go through next week. There will be some rain pushing through, and it could be a little bit heavy, perhaps even thundery at times as well. Bye-bye.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
I'm Christopher Hope. From pop stars to politicians, I'll interview anybody in a pub who's got a political opinion. Join me every Friday on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube or gbnews.com, or wherever you get your podcasts. This is GB News, the People's Channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Headliners, and let's go to gbnews.com/YourSay for some of your comments.
Let's not.
David Silver, not all of the comments, Nick. Only the nice ones. Okay, David Silver says, the police chief who wants to discriminate against white candidates appears to be putting forward that old trope about being the white saviour. Is that how he sees himself? That's a fair point. And Roy Russellan says, as long as those in Parliament are well paid, they will not care for normal people. I'm not sure if the solution to getting better representation and government is to not pay them. But let's move on and look at the front page of the Star, Nick.
Yeah, by the way, someone called my hair grey, that's all that was. There's always someone, like, thanks guys.
You're a silver fox.
Well, I mean, it's like, you know, the fact that people have to type that out. I am a human being, everyone, and yes, people's hair goes slightly grey. Anyway, I keep it natural. So this is the Budgie Smuggler. Pet shoplifter hides birds down his pants. So this is the kind of person typing some of those comments. A stunned pet shop owner caught a man on CCTV stealing prize birds by stuffing them down the front of his tracksuit bottoms. As I said, how does the Daily Star keep going? It's like a Turkish vape shop. No one knows what it really does.
Do you think the Daily Star is a front for some sort of Kurdish heroin dealing money?
It's a front for a different newspaper.
And they've got a picture there of somebody who's not the man in question, but yeah, budgies down his. I mean, are
you trying to get more context here, Leo? You're trying to add to the elaborate.
I was going to do a pun on Pecker, and I was wondering if it breached Ofcom rules. What was happening there? Anyway, let's look at some stories from inside the papers. We've got the Guardian now with humanists wanting to get married. Listen, I don't mind gay couples, but robot marriages is surely too far, Nick.
I know what you mean. It's thousands like us, couples to take UK government to court over humanist marriages. I was a bit surprised here because I was thinking, I've been to a humanist marriage. Was I breaking the law? But no, it was in Scotland where you guys allow them. I don't know if you identify as Scottish, but they're allowed in Scotland and Northern Ireland, but not in older England. So it's quite strange in a way that we're out of sync in that sense. But let's be honest, humanists are just Christians who read The Guardian.
Yeah. They're probably more Christian than a lot of Christians.
I don't know. I think let them have their certificates. We want people getting married, don't we? I don't understand why... Yeah, why aren't we joining in with this?
We need more babies.
Right, and it's a step towards that, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think.
Humanists are going to repopulate the United Kingdom. Moving on to the Daily Mail now with Black Mirror-style biometrics coming to air travel, Cressida.
Boarding passes and check-in to be ditched in biggest shake-up of global aviation in 50 years.
Wow.
That's exciting, isn't it? Nothing's changed in a very long time. So what's going to happen is you can potentially have a digital travel credential on your phone, which is great. I love Trainline because you can get your tickets on your phone and I can't lose electronic things because even if I lose the device, I can still get the thing back. But as usual, this is a story about facial recognition, which feels a bit much, doesn't it? You just want to go to Malaga for a week, and now the government has to have your face.
Yeah, I know what you mean. There's been a bit of an emphasis on airport security. There was an incident in 2001, let's be honest, but since then, it's all been about airport security. But actually, we're letting people into our country constantly that are far more of a danger. Even an airport, it's like it's the safest place in the world. But then people can just arrive by sea into your country, you just let them in, don't you think?
Yes,
that's a great point.
They need a facial, we don't recognise you system.
Yes.
Or surely we should have, we should start with the people coming from Syria and places like that, places that terrorists have originated from. We should scan their faces and make sure we know who they are. And people go into Malaga for two weeks. We can do them after we've sorted out the potential terrorists.
Yeah, start scanning these dinghies.
Yeah. Well, let's see if we can quickly squeeze this one in because we've got The Independent now with some praise for Trump's comedic ability, Nick.
Yep, it's Sarah Silverman says Trump has all the traits of a comedian, which of course we know. She admits he's very funny, has a charisma, says anything to please a crowd. Absolutely. But she says she gave up her arrogant, ignorant, she calls it, onstage persona because it was too similar to Trump. But notice Trump's funny and she no longer is. So maybe we could have stuck with the Trump persona.
Yeah.
I know loads of comedians who are not charismatic at all.
Yeah.
She doesn't know all the same
Any in the room with you right now?
Absolutely not.
I'm a commentator now. I'm immune.
Oh, yeah, you've left us.
Yeah. I think the secret to Trump getting elected is just how incredibly funny and outrageous he is. And I think he knows it. He plays it. Well, moving, with the show is nearly over, so let's take another quick look at tomorrow's front pages. The Daily Mail leads with sleeping on the job. The Independent has one safe house, so many reasons to say thank you. The Daily Mirror has Lord Gove really. Yes, Michael Gove is going to be a lord, and it's perfectly normal. The Daily Express has absurd police arrest mother who took away kids' iPads. The Telegraph leads with Harry, how they tried to trap me in the firm. The Times has Trump aid. We can split up Ukraine like Berlin. And that's all we have time for. Thank you to my guests, Cressida and Nick. I'll be back tomorrow at 11 p.m. with Steve N. Allen and Adam Kumas. And if you're watching at 5 a.m, then stay tuned for breakfast. And I look forward to seeing you tomorrow night. Goodbye.
Expect a warm front, moving from the kitchen right through to the rest of the house. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hello, very good evening to you. Here's your latest GB News weather update coming to you from the Met Office. Whilst we are going to have a largely clear night tonight, we are going to see a bit of a change in our weather as we go through this weekend. That's because the high pressure that's been firmly in control of our weather through recent days does start to drift away towards the east, but for the time being it is still mostly dry. The exception being across the far north of Scotland, where there's a front lingering here bringing some cloud and a bit of rain. Elsewhere, lots of clear skies, and under these clear skies a few pockets of mist and fog, particularly towards the east, and again we could see temperatures dropping a fair bit. Perhaps not quite as chilly as some recent nights, but nonetheless a touch of frost is possible in some prone rural spots. So a fresh start to tomorrow morning, but also a bright sunny one for many places, the exception being, again, the far north of Scotland, Shetland, seeing some rain first thing. Otherwise, though, across much of Scotland, Northern Ireland, a good deal of bright, sunny weather to start the day, and it's a similar story across much of England and Wales. However, towards the southwest, here we're quite quickly going to see some cloud and some showery rain feeding its way in. Now, these showers are going to push their way northeastwards as we go through the day, initially across just really Devon and Cornwall and the southwestern tip of Wales, but they are going to become more widespread as we head into the afternoon. Some of these showers as well could be a little bit on the heavy side, particularly across parts of Wales and the southwest. Elsewhere, further north and east, a lot of dry and sunny weather, and temperatures, well, still in the low 20s, so feeling pretty warm indeed, but fresher from the west. More showery rain then pushes across most parts as we go overnight into Sunday. A lot of that then clears away towards the east through Sunday itself, but there will be a scattering of showers following in behind, albeit with some bright or sunny spells in between. More changeable weather to come as we go through next week. There will be some rain pushing through, and it could be a little bit heavy, perhaps even thundery at times as well. Bye-bye.
Expect a warm front, moving from the kitchen right through to the rest of the house. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Courtesy of Marquis Leisure, you could be driving away with this brand new Elnag Baron 560 motorhome. It comfortably sleeps 4, comes with skyroof, integrated kitchen and bathroom, and is worth over £67,000. And that's not all, as we'll also give you a further £5,000 in tax-free cash to make sure that wherever this motorhome takes you, it takes you there in style. For a chance to win a motorhome and cash, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225.